I'm happy. Look at this. Leah Thompson and other transgender athletes are banned by World Swimming Governing Body FINA from competing against women. Separate open categories will be set. The transgender swimmer who smashed women's record this year will be banned from competing against biological women in international events after the World Swimming Governing Body announced on Sunday that it is barring transgender athletes who went through male puberty. Kinda makes sense. Who is FINA, by the way? Established in 1908, the International Swimming Federation, FINA, Federation International de National, is an international management organization for swimming events. People outside of USA are making more sense than USA. I wish they do that more because everybody seems to be copying USA, but now they're like, you know what? Maybe you guys are doing something that is not actually fair for women. FINA, the International Sport Federation for Swimming, announced on Sunday that it is changing its policy so transgender women can only compete in the organization's women's races if they had completed the transition by the age of 12, which I think is gangster. Alright, they will then have a proof to the federation that they have continuously suppressed their testosterone levels since that time. Ooh, that means all of them are cancelled, at least for the swimming. The accommodation to transgender athletes, though, FINA, is setting up an open category for transgender athletes to compete against one another at events, including the World Aquatic Championship, World Swimming Championship, and Swimming World Cup. Wow! A working group will spend the next 6 months to determine how the open category will operate. You know what's the most interesting about this? That would mean the girl that I had a discussion with, this non-binary lady, she told me, yeah, but they're gonna feel like dogs. I'm like, no, they're just gonna compete against themselves, and when it's fair or not, and if they lose there anyway, then they know they just really suck at that sport. Simple. We have to protect the rights of our athletes to compete, but we also have to protect competitiveness, fairness at our events, especially the women's category at FINA competition. Now think about it this way. If you have a daughter that has been training all their life and suddenly they go to a competition and somebody just kicks them out, do you know how much time you invest to train to be at that level for only somebody born and just decide, you know what, I'm just gonna change this? I don't think that's fair. But such policies prevent Thomas from competing in the international events that would raise her standing in the international swimming and potentially land her a place at the Olympic, which she said in a recent interview she would like to compete at in the future.
There are some who look at the data and suggest that you're enjoying a competitive advantage. What do you say to that?
There's a lot of factors that go into a race and how well you do, and the biggest change for me is that I'm happy. And sophomore year, where I had my best times competing with the men, I was miserable, and so having that be lifted is incredibly relieving and allows me to put my all into training, into racing. Trans people don't transition for athletics. We transition to be happy and authentic and our true selves. Transitioning to get an advantage is not something that ever factors into our decisions.
You didn't transition to win more medals?
No.
To follow a way of life that whenever something makes you happy, you should be allowed to do that. I know a lot of people that do certain things that makes them happy. They want to do it, but I don't want to be near such a person, right? But now a person can go at the place that you're going to do something, kick you out of that because she or the type of person like her, transgender, has a high tendency of snipping themselves. I'm like, wait a second, the logic that you have in life is kind of weird. Because you want to just be the 400th place as a guy, and suddenly you switch gender and you're suddenly first place. And that makes you happy? I think that would make anybody happy. Her quick rise to top of the women's chart, though, was caused an uproar across the United States with a bunch of anonymous ladies speaking out. I think the public made something out of it because the little ladies were locked with him, her, whatever you want to say, in a bathroom because it's their right. Are you freaking kidding me? When many argued that she had an unfair advantage over her fellow competitors. True. Members of the organization heard from transgender tests for compromising leading medical, legal, sports figure, which first convened to discuss the issue after International Olympic Committee urged individual sports federations to create a guidance on transgender athletes in November. At that time, the IOC urged the federation to shift their focus from individual testosterone levels and call the evidence to prove when a performance advantage existed. The fact that they need doctors to know that, I don't like these experts anyway. The experts concluded that the policy that there needs to be an eligibility standard based on biological sex rating. Without eligibility standard based on biological sex or sex-linked traits, we are very unlikely to see biological females in finals on the podiums in championship position. As scientists explain, biological males see their testosterone levels increase 20-fold during puberty, while the levels remain low in biological women during puberty, often around the age of 12. Which is logical. Still, don't transition for me, it's not the best thing. The biological female athlete cannot overcome the advantage through training or nutrition, nor can they take additional testosterone to obtain the same advantage because testosterone is a prohibited substance under the World Anti-Doping Code. The policy was passed with a 71% majority, gangster, after it was put to the members' 152 National Federation with voting rights who had gathered for the Congress at the Puskas Arena. Around 50% voted no to the policy on ineligibility in the men's and women's competition categories, while 30% abstained. I bet you of that 15%, 13%, amen. Most of these people might have been African, Chinese, or East European or something like that, and the rest are all Western countries. They're gonna be like, for the feeling of the people. Hussein Al-Musalla, president of FINA. I do not want any athlete to be told what they cannot compete at the highest level. Nice saying. I will set up a working group to set an open category at our meet. Nobody wants a meet. They don't want to separate. They don't want to compete against themselves because then they know they have to compete at other people that have the same possible testosterone as them after puberty or in puberty and not before 12. We will be the first federation to do that. Yes, for the feeling so they can compete against each other. I respect that. Trans women don't transition for athletics. We transition to be happy and authentic to our true self. Well, then go to it through in a sport that you can train with the people at the same level as you. We're not here to make you happy because you suck at the sport. That doesn't make any sense. Thomas ran for Pennsylvania men's team for 3 seasons after starting her hormone therapy in spring 2019. A wave of doctors suggested that Lia Thompson and other trans female athletes will always have an unfair advantage in some sport because they cannot undo puberty when their biological male bodies were flooded with testosterone. They say that 1 or even 4 years of hormone therapy is not enough to reverse what happens to the male teenage body. There are social aspects to a sport, but physiological and biological underpin it. Testosterone is a 100-pound gorilla. Wait. Well, I'm happy Leah isn't a black person because you cannot use the terminology though. Because that gangster lady from the football is like, yay, we need to defend the woman's part with the trans people. And I'm like, didn't you get beaten by a few 16 years old that proves to you that even 16 years old is better than adult woman football? Then you got this Australian woman from Mid. We need to defend. You're a woman already. You are participating in that. By that standard, a bunch of beautiful transgender ladies that I seen that put very beautiful face, body, tuck the pee in, look better than Miss Woman, right? If that is possible, damn. Be careful what you're wishing for. All I'm saying, man, look, man, there are even sports that can be so dangerous for a woman, like rugby. certain or MMA. People can get killed. You don't care about that? It's like we don't care the damage that we might do to a woman because my happiness is more important. By that standard, if I apply that logic, I don't want to show you, see you kiss your mom, hug your mom, show your mom, see your mom, bring you food, help you at school, or everything, because I didn't have a mom when I was 6. You know what? Maybe I should have been transgender too, so everybody would care about me back then. No, nobody would care about you. Nobody. You know what? Because nobody cared about nobody. Very simple. If you didn't have a mom or a dad or a family, you suck. Just go make your own. That's the hard life that I'm used to. Not everybody is going to get the best card shoved in their hand to play poker, but sometimes you just have to flow with it. But don't worry, people. Biden got your back. Biden administration is currently denying school lunch programs to schools that don't let trans compete in girls' sport. And guess what is going to happen by my prediction? Kids are gonna hate trans kids. Thank you. Reverse un. Let me know what you guys think. But you know what? I'm happy that we have finally some logic coming from Europe.